Hey, Izzy.
Hi, Jim. How are you doing?
Peachy Keen. I'm gonna get a T-shirt that says Peachy Keen.
That's a good one. How have you been? Busy.
Yeah,
You're all over, man.
busier than a three-legged cat in a litter box, and there's not enough hours in the day because I'm still missing. I feel like I'm missing out on a lot. I'm one of those fear of missing out FOMO guys.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
when
yeah.
I had to miss Lawrence's meetup the other night with Jerome Myers, and I was really disappointed in that. Then I had to miss Julie's, and I was disappointed in that. But
Yeah, you
can't be,
can't serve them all,
no,
You
can't be
can't.
everywhere all the time. Just
Exactly.
so
Yeah.
what's going on?
A lot. Just like you, I feel like it doesn't matter what I do. I need to be someplace else. So I'm just trying to stay present with what I do. Currently, I have like three stuff that I'm putting my time on. One is, the purchasing my first multifamily or co-syndicating. I might be on the Salvador Elder deal that I
Which
know that
one?
you're the one it's in West Columbia, Texas, the 36 unit that I think you were the sponsor on, or I'm not sure. Sal
Oh,
Elder. Yeah.
okay.
So I might be helping you guys there. We're trying to figure out if I can, add value to this deal because I don't want to just be there just because of Sal and I are friends. But yeah, I'm definitely pushing toward doing this first deal, but finding a good deal. San Antonio market, which I'm hyper focused on, is super competitive. The prices are ridiculous. Can't seem to find anything that makes sense that actually pan out. So I'm starting to venture out to other tertiary markets in Texas in general, and OKC, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. So you have the Little Rock
So
area, and you have the northwest, kind of like Springdale and these areas.
so you said that San Antonio is super competitive, and you haven't been able to find anything there.
Yeah, that's correct. I'm still, I'm maintaining and keeping those relationships and those channels all open. And I do still analyze, run numbers on a few deals. But I came to this realization that in order to get a deal to the finish line, you need to have like four components. One is the actual deal. The other one is kind of like the operational side, the underwriting and the asset management, stuff like that. Third thing is the balance sheet. You need to have a sponsor. And the fourth thing is the capital raising side. And my understanding is that in order to actually bring value to the table, you have to have at least two of those components. So either you have the balance sheet and you can help with the capital raising, or you know how to underwrite and maybe you can find a deal. So at this point, the only skill that I have is actually I can underwrite pretty good and I can do the asset management side. But this is the easiest role to outsource, unfortunately. You can hire out people that are way better than me, that can run numbers better than me in half the time, and even people that can do the asset management side. So I need to own some new skills, and what I'm finding or skill, I'm just thinking about what are my options in these four quadrants toward the deal. I'll be delusional to think that I can bring the perfect deal because it's a relationship game, and usually you'll find the better deals once after you have a few deals under your belt. The brokers and wholesalers will actually send you the better deals, and I don't have the balance sheet. So what I'm currently working on is putting down some content and working on my marketing and working on the capital raising side of things.
So
yeah.
let's review real quick the four components you mentioned again. Balance sheet is one.
Capital raising is the second one. The actual deal is the third one. And the more, let's call it the operational side, from the underwriting to the asset management side. you know,
Okay.
coming down, coming up with a business plan, and then execute on that, running the numbers. So I put it like in a one box.
So you're separating the finding the deal from the, you're kind of putting the asset management and the underwriting into one box.
Right.
But you're putting finding the deal in a separate box.
That's right.
Okay. So
because I think these are these require different skills. Finding the deals is way more relationship game than the hardcore horsepower that you have that you can like run numbers or feel comfortable with numbers.
Yeah. So I think there's, in finding the deal, two very different methods. And one is a lot more relationship based, and it's a lot more like raising capital. It's relationship. It's all about relationships. So in some ways, those two things can be very close to one another. But the other method, which is if you believe that most of the brokers really don't give two shits about you, and that it's all just for them, it's just a numbers game. You know, how can I get the most? How can I get the biggest paycheck? Who do I know is going to get this across the table? I'm only concerned about the people that I know can execute. Right. And so that has almost no relationship built into it at all. So it's just a numbers game. Right. So I believe that most deals are like that. I think, in my opinion, probably 80% of the deals are like that.
Do you think that they will give me a chance? Let's say I'm coming up, so I'm putting down this sample deal. I'm working with a few sponsors, and I send them kind of like a credibility, very basic credibility package. Do you think that that would be enough to, you know, pique their interest? Or because as a newbie, why would they even bother sending me the good deals? Because I feel like I'm just circling around the same deals as other people.
Right, but that's where most deals come from, Izzy.
Right.
This is it's a big head game that most of these deals are coming off market. They're not. Now, are they going to show you the newest deals right out of the box? No, they're going to show you every deal that's been pushed around to everyone else. But that's also why I tell just about everyone, start small. Start with the things that most other people are not looking at. Start with the things that most other people don't want. And start with a broker who has no experience and has no sales under his belt, because he's in the same boat you are. And he's a lot more, if you can sell him a credibility package, okay? So I'll tell you right now, you don't have a net worth problem. You don't have a liquidity problem. You don't have an SREO problem. You don't have an asset management or sponsor problem. You've got all of those things in your back pocket, because I'll provide all of those things. And it doesn't matter, you know, you have the ability, and I would, you know, tell whomever that you're speaking to, and make sure and put these things in your credibility package, if you will, that you have the ability to take down up to a $20 million deal. But I would not focus on a $20 million deal.
Right.
I don't want to take down a $20 million deal. If I'm put in a position and it's really, really a good deal, and that's what I need to do, I'll do that. But that is not what I am interested in. I'm interested in doing 1,000 little deals, because I don't want to help one guy get a big deal put together. I want to help a lot of little guys get started. Mm-hmm. And I think that if you come at the broker with that, and I would also tell the broker that, you know, we've closed on, you know, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I would tell the broker that we've closed on 7 deals in the last 24 months, and that we have several more in the pipeline. Anticipate on closing on at least 5 deals in 2021. Okay, I would use that terminology. I would also say that I would put, you need to reach out and ask first, but I would put Julie on your credibility package, and I would ask Julie, to write me a little blurb saying that, and make sure that you tell Julie that I told you to ask for it, because she knows that she's underwriting me. Say, can you give me a little blurb that says this deal sponsor, without mentioning a name, because we're going to let them assume that means you. But what it really means is you and me. Okay. This deal sponsor has the ability to close. We are, you know, they are partnered with us, and you know, we are vouching for them. Okay. So that's gives them again a little more certainty of close.
I want to write this one down.
I'll send you the recording. You just have to remind me.
Okay, perfect. We'll do.
So also, I would call Kimra. And the reason I want you to focus on Kimra has more experience than just about any property manager in the C class space. And that's where I think we need to focus, is C class.
Right. Yeah.
And the reason she does is she worked for such big private equity firms across the nation, in almost every state in the nation, and has been doing it for 40 years. So you can ask Kimra the same thing. Kimra, can you give me a little 30-second elevator speech on you that kind of says 40 years experience, managed over 5 bazillion units, okay? You know, so whatever certifications she has and whatever, and end it with, and work very closely with this sponsor. Okay. Those 3 pieces plus you is a very powerful team. And there's absolutely no reason that you can't get through to some of these guys. Now, if you're focusing on the smaller assets, most of the big players are not going to want to deal with those. They don't make as much money, you know, and you may have to go with a different firm. It may not be Marcus and Millichap or Berkadia or whomever, but whoever has the asset, I don't care who it is. You know, I don't care if it's a residential broker, you know, but I would really be focused on those smaller assets. Now, you need to know the piece that you're missing now, in my mind, is only one piece. That's the capital. Okay, because you can use my credibility to raise capital. You can use Kimra's credibility to raise capital, and Julie's credibility to raise capital. You can say, these are my partners on this deal, and use those names to help you get people focused on your deal. But I don't have the time, Julie doesn't have the time, and Kimra doesn't have the time, nor is that their job, you know, to raise capital for you. But you can leverage our names to raise capital, okay? And in addition to all the other things that you might be doing, if you have a landing page and if you're doing outreach and you're on Zoom calls all day long, you know, this is in addition to that. But even on those Zoom calls, you know, I would say I have a very experienced team that is in my corner, and that, you know, and I wouldn't even mention this as your, if you're not asked, that this is your first deal. You know, I would just leverage the team. I'd go back to leveraging the team. You know, that we have a lot of experience in this space. We have a lot of experience in this town. We've got a lot of experience in Texas, you know. And when you get enough soft commitments that you feel you have enough money to take something down, don't look for anything other than what you can take down with, and don't count on more than, you heard Michael say the other day, they only had about 20% of their investors come through. So if you have 400,000 in soft commitments, that's really only 100,000. So do the math backwards. Whatever you can take down with 100,000, focus like a freaking laser on what you can take down with that 100,000. So, because I'd rather you not keep trying to build up the investor base. I'd rather you take down a deal. Okay. And if you want to start practicing that capital raising piece, if you have enough people that you can call, And you do. You can call every Zoom call you've been in. Take the chat and call every single person. Put every single person into a database, and start, making that quick phone call. Shoot just a DM or a text message that says, hey, I have something under contract, and just wanted to know if you'd be interested in hearing about it.
Yeah, and I was thinking about using the sample deal. I'm underwriting, I'm about to finish this sample deal. It's a 100-unit deal. It's a kind of a big deal, but just to give the potential investors a taste of what they should expect when working.
I wouldn't use that.
You wouldn't?
Use that. Nope. I'd use Sal's deal, because Sal's giving you an opportunity to be on that deal. You can start shopping Sal's deal. If you get enough interest, then you tell Sal, absolutely, I'm in. Why pitch them a potential deal that if they say yes, you can't deliver?
Yeah, I just wanted to.
That if they say absolutely, Izzy, I've been waiting on you to reach out to me. Right. So yeah, I'm in.
Yeah, my thought about that, but I want to keep it like stress-free, because whenever I'm pitching a live deal, an actual deal, there is this sense of, this soft commitment might turn hard real quick.
Yeah.
Real quick. And my thought was, when building the database, use something that is not like a live, like a mock deal, not a maybe.
Well, here's the thing, is that you have not committed this out yet. So in reality, it is, there's no pressure on you. You could just start hammering the phone for the next 3 days. Just take the next 3 days and do nothing but hammer the phone and see where you get. If it looks good, then move forward. And if it doesn't, like I said, there's absolutely no pressure on you. You have not said yes to Sal.
But no, I want in on the deal. The thing is, I want to make sure that I can add value, because I'm not there. Maybe I'm a little too proud, but I want to make sure that I have some complementary skill that I can bring to the table, and not, I don't need any handouts and stuff like that. And I know that, me and Sal, we have a really good relationship, and I would love to work with him. But if he and Bernardo and you have, a solid deal, it's already tight, it's, you don't need anyone else on your team. I don't want to be like another.
Why would Sal reach out to you then, if he felt that way?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. And he was saying, what he thinks that they might need help with, and this is definitely in my wheelhouse, especially after closing, investor relationships, making sure that the K1s are sent on time, and distributions. I can definitely help on the asset management side. It's quite a drive, but it's a small sacrifice for me. So I definitely can bring some qualities to the table, but I just want to make sure that that's enough.
Well, so what is Sal asking you for? He's asking you to raise capital, I'm assuming.
Both raise capital. He's not worried about raising capital, because it's not like a huge deal, and he has a pretty strong database of people that he, about like 20%, like what you were saying. He's pretty certain that they will follow through. But yeah, I mean, so I can help on the capital raising side, but I think my value will come forward more on the asset management side, coming up and helping tightening up the business plan, run the numbers again, and just help with the client, with the investor relationship.
So is he asking you to help on those pieces?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's why you don't assume things. I was assuming that his big ask was really to raise capital. That was my assumption. Yeah. I thought that between him and Bernardo, they had everything else covered. So
I've never spoken with Bernardo, so take everything that I say with a grain of salt. We need to make sure that the relationship between me and Bernardo, and that we actually on the same page about stuff. And if we're diving into a few years of relationship, everyone should feel comfortable and confident about that. So
exactly. So I would say that if Sal's ask is to help in several of those areas, that's a great thing for you. If he's saying, look, Izzy, I'm still working my W-2, and I can do this. I just don't know if I have enough time to do it. So, I'd like to bring somebody else on. If that's the case, that's a big opportunity for you, because most sponsors never give up any of that responsibility. They don't give it up because they're very jealous of that piece. So I would see it as an opportunity. But I would be very direct with Sal and say, Sal, what is the thing you need the most from me?
Yeah.
If it narrowed it down to just one thing, what do you need the most from me right now? And get an answer to that question, and make sure that you guys are clear. But anyway, so that's kind of getting away from. I'll put that one on the shelf. My intention is to push you guys. Take what's in front of you. Take whatever deal is right there, because it's the hardest thing in the world is just to get on a deal the first time. That's the hardest thing. And once you do, now you're able to tell every broker, yeah, we just closed the deal out in Houston. And so that means a lot to them. That gives them more, they want to hear about all the deals that you've done. And, you can even talk about deals you can talk about the Tulsa deal that Michael and Susie did. Because even though you weren't intimately involved in that deal, they don't know that. Is say, yeah, we can just close this one in Houston. We had one that we closed a couple of months ago in Tulsa with the team, and just talk about the team, to give your credibility. But if you start with somebody that's relatively new, you are going to make their career and they can make yours.
Right.
Find somebody that you feel an attachment to that's, pretty new, and go after them. They have they'll hear the scuttlebutt in the office about the pocket listings, where an experienced broker might not call you for that pocket listing, but this inexperienced guy heard it at the water cooler. And so, yeah, he's going to say, hey, Izzy, there might be something here. And you have that list that David downloaded. I would find myself a new broker and say, look, I've got 40 names here I want to reach out to, and I want to make them an offer to purchase. And if they don't purchase, I want you to pitch, okay, can I get a listing? So when he goes with a lot more power. Offer to cut him in on the deal. Say, look, if you will prospect these 40 names, here's how I want you to do it. I'll cut you in on the deal if you agree to put half your commission back in the deal. Okay. So if you do this, I'll pay you a broker's commission, but half of it has to come back in the deal. Okay. And I want it to be completely off market. It's just my offer. This is your offer and my offer, okay, to this individual. If they say no, then you can offer them even more as a listing. Okay, that's all I'm willing to offer you, my partners and I, to buy this. But would you be interested in listing it with us? Maybe we could market it to a broader crowd. So it's a double whammy for him. He gets an opportunity to purchase first. If they don't want to purchase, then has the opportunity to, list. And also you can leverage Kimra's property management also, and say, look, hey, if you're not really happy with property management, then, we've got a terrific property management company that's been managing for 40 years that that has been in Texas with another very large firm and starting their own firm. If you're interested, we can also, if you're not happy with what you're doing. So you can offer solution after solution after solution, trying to get, and all you're really trying to do is develop that relationship with that individual. So I don't know, you can utilize the broker to do all that, but then he's getting all the benefit of the relation.
Yeah.
Or you can use the broker and you guys double team the guy. You know, when he has a call with him, all the emails include you. If he has a Zoom call, you're invited to them. You know, if he goes to meet with the guy in person, he tells you, hey, Izzy, do you want to come along? You know, because you're putting these names in front of him. He's not putting them in front of you.
Okay, giving me a lot to chew on here. I mean, I definitely need to rethink about how I approach or reach out to new brokers, and maybe even some property owners. Who knows? Maybe that's also something that.
And I will tell you that I would try to keep my focus very. You already know a lot about San Antonio. You've already spent a lot of time researching San Antonio. There's nothing wrong with San Antonio.
That's, yeah, I mean, that's what everybody knows. Yeah, thinks, because cap rates are crazy.
In the triangle, it's the cheapest thing you can buy. Inside the triangle, you can't get anything cheaper in DFW. It's not cheaper in Austin. It's not cheaper, you know, in the triangle. That's about as cheap as it gets. Yeah. You know, of the major cities.
Yeah,
you know, now obviously you can look at, you know, some of the outlying cities, but you know, outlying cities of the MSA. But if I were you, until I had exhausted that entire list that David put on the drive for San Antonio, I would not leave San Antonio. I mean, exhausted it. Until I had spoken to every single one of those people, I would not leave San Antonio. And if you even get close on underwriting, do not throw that thing in the dead deal bin until you talk to me. I don't care what we have to do. I don't care what we have to do. Let's underwrite, change your underwriting. Go back and look at the deals that, if there's any deals that you've underwritten that you threw in the dead deal bin, but they're still for sale, pull them back out, change your underwriting for the splits. So I don't know, what are you using right now? 70-30, 75-25?
80-20.
80-20? Okay, make it 100-0. Make it 100-0. See if that changes your underwriting.
I have one that I've been working on for the past, you know, couple of months. It's an off-market deal. It's like it's a package of 3 deals totaling in like 155 units. One is an 81 unit, another one is a 48, another one is a 26-ish. The 48 and the 26, I've been waiting on their financials for a while. The 26, I haven't got that yet. The 48 is, all properties are located in really good locations in San Antonio. 48 is losing money, and the seller is asking for, you know, numbers based on like a very rosy pro forma. The 81 unit is something that I actually still, I'm trying to make it work somehow, but it's an off-market deal with an on-market price. That's an 81 unit, good location, but, you know, and the T12, they have some management issues there, and the T12 was, you know, lacking some crucial information that really skewed the numbers. Like half of the property tax wasn't there. They had like a utility reimbursement that was about $80,000 or $90,000 more than the actual expense. So things were a little weird there. I'm trying to work through that, but the numbers, I mean, as of now, I can't seem to make them work. I met like a sponsor through like different circles. I think Julie introduced me to him, and I wanted to show him that, but I think he has like a lot of other stuff that he's dealing with, and it's not such like a screaming deal, an easy one for him. So I think he's not going to follow up. And I was just about to actually throw it in the dead deal bin, but as of now,
anytime that you like a deal, you really like the deal, you're really sold on the deal, you think that this would be an easy one to sell to investors from the story being a good story, except for the numbers. In other words, every other piece of the story, you can see this beautiful story that you can tell, but the numbers just aren't there. Before you throw it away, make it 100%. And if you can make it work that way, then let's talk.
I can, you know, change the numbers as we speak and see, how things shake out. So just 1 second. That's the portfolio thing. Yeah, and I have a really good property manager in San Antonio that I've met through my Michael Blanc mentor. So he's actually the asset manager for Nighthawk Equity Capital. He's based in San Antonio. He's been in the business for like 30 years as well. He used to have an office really next to the property, the 81 unit property. Now so he really likes this area. 100%.
Well, how come he's not interested in? He just doesn't think the numbers work.
Yeah, no, he likes the area, he likes the deal, but just the numbers. And he managed like six properties, like property managed 6 properties within like a 2 miles radius from this one. So he knows the submarket code. When I'm changing the equity to 100%, so that brings me to a 15% IRR. And
what was the IRR before you changed it? Give me the high level numbers before you change it.
Sure. So what do you need? What do you want to know?
Cash on cash.
Okay.
And IRR, equity multiple.
Sure. So cash on cash is 5.1. Actually, let me reduce the acquisition fee. Let's put it here. And what do you say about the asset management fee? Just to drop it to 0, it's currently at 1%.
Just leave that in for now.
Okay. So cash on cash is 5.3. The debt coverage ratio, so there is a loan assumption there. So we'll need to take a supplemental loan, but it's at 1.26, so it's kind of tight. The AAR, the average annual return, is at 18.36, and the IRR is at 13.18.
Okay, and
so this is kind of like that's a stretch, because he was asking for 9 million. He pretty quick figured out that the numbers that he had on his P12, that's what I'm saying here, that's the seller, are not correct. And the purchase price, what I was willing to offer before, the increase in taxes and all, was 7.8. But now I need to reconfigure the numbers. So the IRR on this one is 13.18%.
Does your model have an equity multiple in it?
Yeah. It's not good. I remember, let me see. Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, and this is all based on a 5-year with no refinance, right?
8 years. 8, but I can drop it to 5 years with no refinance.
Make everything a 5-year, and let's look at it from a 5-year business plan.
Okay, so if it's a 5 years, so the cash on cash drops to 4.2. Debt coverage ratio stays the same. The average annual return, the AAR, is at 19.3, and the IRR is at 15.32. It actually turned green, but the equity multiple is not there. It's actually, nah, it's 96%, so it's less than 100 now. But it's basically all due to the loan assumption, and we have a lot of leverage there, and I don't see like a huge upside, in terms of rent increase.
Yeah. Okay, so this one, I would throw it in the garbage. If you don't see a potential for a big rent increase, assuming some reasonable, pieces, even, why I want you to consider reaching for a deal, but I don't want you to reach this far. Okay, find something else that is close using your normal numbers.
Right.
This one doesn't even in my opinion, doesn't. My initial reaction is it just doesn't pass the sniff test.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna get really, really, really low returns, I'm gonna try to get the same thing in Austin.
Right, exactly.
Instead of
stable and strong, yeah.
Right.
Strong.
Or it's going to be in the very, very best part of San Antonio.
That's right. And it's not.
Yeah. So that one doesn't really, I don't think passes the sniff test, but, you know, do the same, run that. It doesn't take you a whole lot of time to run that same scenario with the other deals that you've already done. Don't really mess with the asset management fee, because if you're going to get rid of a fee, get rid of the acquisition fee. Okay.
Yeah.
Or cut it down really low. You know, but mainly don't have a pref. Although I don't think having the pref will change the numbers.
No, it's not.
But
but I won't have any pref, definitely not for the first deal. And I think that it creates a whole slew of, you know, risk stuff for the investors that have no pref in that. So.
Yeah, especially if you're already offering 100%, you know, until you reach certain hurdles. That's going to be the key, is we're going to set up hurdles. I don't want you not to make money. I just want you to be able to make the numbers work and make it easy to sell. Right. So we'll set everything up as 100% return. And that's a big, big, big selling point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but then the numbers have to work, you know, using that. So,
great.
But so what else, before we move on, what else did you have on your list of things you wanted to talk
about? So I have one more thing that I just wanted to hear your opinion about. It's not really related to what we do in the GOP network. I'm helping this really amazing company, but they're also dealing with real estate, but they're dealing with A and B class properties and those big ones. So this company help a lot of landlords and you know, property managers to not leave money on the table. Basically, the way they do it is through connecting the residents to each other, because people are super lonely, connecting the residents with other residents of the neighborhood. So like creating a neighborhood, and they're basically mapping out all of the local businesses, and they connect those residents with local businesses, and they do like a lot of rev share and offering packages and pop-up events and stuff like that. That's a really, really good, well-funded company. These guys are from Israel, super serious. So, and they reached out to me and asked me, you know, if I want to help them as kind of like a contractor to get them into the Austin market. But they're dealing with completely different asset classes, as I was telling you, A and B, mostly A class. They're helping about, I think, almost 10,000 units throughout the US, and they're aiming for landlords they own properties of 300 units and up. It's kind of like, and they're recruiting like and they're very, you know, connected with the human side of things. So whenever they go into a property, they first of all, they hire like a community manager that helps everyone. They have a really, really cool app, and I can share with you some stuff, some visuals that, you know, they were helping the residents from, you know, onboarding and help them with the moving and everything, connecting them with other neighbors, connecting them with local people, local businesses. So that's their game, and they're helping landlords and property managers to just increase and boost their NOI through bringing up their retention, lowering down vacancy, and increasing the demand. And I just want to ask you, I don't know if you know any landlords, A-class landlords in the Austin Metro, MSA, or any other MSA. I know that you're based in Chicago. Then they have few properties in Chicago as well. You know, I just wanted to share it with you, hear your feedbacks about that. I know that it's not it is not really in our wheelhouse, but I love their mission, you know. And when they offered me, it's not like a job. It's I basically eat what I kill. I mean, I'm saying I just said yes because I like what they're doing and what they're rooting for, and their mission is to connect people together and create neighborhoods. And
so that is what a good property manager should be doing, and what an asset manager should be pushing their property manager to do.
The property managers are doing a lot of the stuff on site, on the property. I think their edge on that, on property management, is more toward connecting with the local economy. So this is what they actually they build neighborhoods. And they used to be very real estate intensive. So they used to buy a lot of stuff from the actual building, but now they're completely pivoted to, you know, more of like the operational system, community managers, and helping, you know, supporting the local economy and create a lot of cool stuff with local vendors, pop-up events, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yoga stuff.
Yeah. So they're offering a concierge service that you would expect to get at a really, really, really high-class hotel, or at a really high-class, A-class private high-rise type of community.
They can do garden style as well, but yeah, it's mostly the higher end stuff.
Yeah, well, when I'm thinking of, let's say for instance in Austin, if you're in the hippest part of town where all the newest high rises are, and you're paying $4,000 a month for your apartment, for your 1-bedroom apartment, you're going to have that service in the lobby. And if you don't have it, you should.
Yeah, they don't have it.
and so, you know, that's why I say it's something that good asset managers and good property managers already have. But if there's a lot of them out there, if they're offering this and it's, you know, a reasonable cost, and you're not already implementing this, you'd be crazy not to.
Right.
Even in a C-class property. I would argue even more so in a C-class property.
Yeah.
But because you're trying to create that community so that you can attract the very best of the C-class tenants.
Yeah, and the numbers are that the retention rate for those A and B class, especially in hip cities like Austin, when you have new properties on the market every year,
concessions and everything else.
Yeah, it's like it can get up to 60% turnover year over year.
Yeah,
and that's a lot of money.
It absolutely is. So my opinion on it is that it's probably very valuable, but it's something that you should be doing anyway. So my takeaway for you is, yeah, if you've got the bandwidth to kind of get an inside look at how they're doing this, you absolutely should do it, because then you can take that same idea and implement it on every apartment that you ever buy.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I've listened to a few podcasts and Zoom meetings that the guests were talking about getting in contact with Chamber of Commerce, with the city, with some people that actually know the area and have a broader view on the entire situation, and look at not just on the property itself, but on the property in context in the larger context with the neighborhood, with the city, and look if you can find some value to make those residents stick.
Yeah.
And help them. And people want to feel valued, and they want to feel fulfilled, and that they are part of something big, and they have a community that supports them. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I as far as giving you some connections, most of the people that I know and do business with are not in the A and B class, but there has been a lot of people that have been moving up into the B class over the last couple of years, and if you're not connected to them, and uh, my feeling is that most of the guys that I know feel like they already know they should be doing this. Whether or not they are, I can't answer, because I'm not that close. I know some of them that absolutely are doing it, because they talk about it a lot. But my guess is that most of them are probably not doing it.
Yeah.
So I could, if I remember, I can start tagging you whenever, but pay attention on LinkedIn. Anytime you see somebody closed a deal, if it looks like a B class, asset, reach out to them. Don't pitch them, just reach out to them, make a connection, and
that's what I do.
Congratulate them and ask them, hey, I would watch their webinars. I would get their pitch decks. And if they're not talking about this kind of value add in their pitch decks, then I'd reach out to them and say, look, I watched your webinar. I seen your pitch deck. I think there might be even more opportunity for you with this service.
So you were so what you're saying is to actually reach out to those brokers whenever I see someone posting like a deal online, reach out to the broker and ask them for, the link to the webinar or their pitch deck and stuff like that.
Yeah, especially if your eyeballs tell you this is an A or a B asset, and then I would reach out to them. And even if it's a C asset, if it's big enough to make it worthwhile, if it's a 500 unit C asset, then absolutely, I'd still go after it. So that would be one way I would. And in another way is, depending on how much time you're going to dedicate to it, you could start posting about how sticky is your process. What's your turnover? If your turnover is, anything above X, then we should talk. I can help you. I wouldn't really disclose very much more than that. And I would if there was a way for me to put up a post like that and post it across all social platforms and make it repeat, like I can do a calendar that repeats, then I would do it. Just, automate it somehow so that, it just goes up there. I don't know if I'm sure there's probably some scheduling apps out there.
And they have their entire operation and their marketing, they're doing a fairly good job. I think that what you were saying is more to the point of address the landlord's problem and not your solution, because a lot of people, and I think they're still they're working things through, because their entire pitch deck is more toward what they found out about people that are feeling more lonely and, detached from their community, and not addressing hey, Mr. Landlord or Mrs. Landlord, you're leaving a lot of money on the table.
And I tell you another path I would take is I would try to make connections with whoever is in charge at these larger institutions of monitoring the asset manager for Fannie or Freddie, the asset manager for Arbor Realty Mortgage, the asset manager for Wells Fargo, the asset manager for anybody that's loaning on these A and B assets. Reach out to the asset managers and say, I would like to help your clients increase their occupancy.
Okay, that's a twist there. Okay.
And if you've got any that are in trouble, I particularly want to help them. If you've got any loans that are in trouble that could vastly, benefit from our helping them increase their occupancy rates, and we feel like we can do that very, very quickly, then I would very much like the opportunity. You don't need to be involved. I can reach out to them independently on my own. I just need to know who's in trouble so that I can try to help them increase their occupancy. It's a double whammy for you. Number one, that's an off-market deal that you know is in trouble.
Yeah, right.
Number two is you have a solution to fix the problem, even if they don't want to sell.
Yeah.
Now that I'm saying that, I should be doing that.
Right.
I just don't have time.
How do you address those people? I mean, I'll try to figure out a way on how
first off, I would look for asset managers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not asset managers of apartment deals, but asset managers at large lending institutions, because that's who is going to know if the deal is in trouble. If you make one friend with one of them and you can get on a phone call and start talking to them, just try to make a friend first. Don't pitch them anything. Don't even let them know what you do unless they ask, and say, well, I've got, several things going on, A, B, and C, but I'm more interested in building my base of knowledge behind the scenes. Everybody wants to learn how to do things by going to these gurus and paying them all this money. I think the real value is learning what things look like behind the curtain. I see you guys as kind of the Wizard of Oz. You are what's really important, not what everybody else is looking at. Mm-hmm. Because you guys are really, you understand the nuts and bolts. You understand, you are looking at the numbers every day. You can see how these deals got in trouble. You can start to, I want to learn, or you even go about it a different way. Say, I want to learn what you know, because I think I want to break into that field. And maybe that's somehow, some way, get in, and once you get to know one of them very well and you understand the process and what they can and cannot tell you, what they can and cannot do, then you'll develop a strategy about how to move forward.
All right. Yeah. Sounds good.
What else you got?
That's it. I'm working on like a kind of like a side project, but at this point it's too far-fetched. But I thought about. I have a friend who actually started doing that, and he kind of turned me on. It's more catered towards single SFRs. So there is a huge inefficiency there with brokers, with real estate agents, especially the ones that are helping investors. And I think that a lot of the data, and here's the situation: you have few agents that have a bunch of investors that would like to purchase a house in a particular market or sub-market, but they can only run numbers on a handful per day. And what my friend started doing, and I think that it's something that I would definitely want to scale and do in other markets, not just in Austin, is to build like an algorithm that will scrape information from zero or whatever, run the numbers, and just send those LOIs or those offers. So instead of putting 6 offers or 5 offers per week or even per day, you can actually send 100 offers, because it's all automated. So mm-hmm. You have the capital raising side. You need to raise a fund probably first. But now I'm just starting like the POC, the proof of concept on that. So no robust algorithm at this point, just trying to pull data, see if I can create like a very basic analyzer that will just run the numbers for me without me plugging those numbers and taking like an hour to analyze each deal. Just put an LOI, of course, take into account the rehab or whatever you want to do. And the thing is, I just want to start with on market deals, but then I think the big opportunity is like with off market stuff. Just send an actual offer in the mail for someone, and you can do it like hundreds at a time. And there are, it's not my idea. There are some funds that started doing that. So but that's definitely something that I just want to explore, because there is a huge inefficiency in the single family market that a lot of not very good agents are just keeping their cards close to the chest. And I see it with Austin. You have few agents that are doing, most of the deals, and you have tons of agents they're just not good. And I think that the good agents will always have jobs because they bring value.
Okay, so what are you basing the LOIs off of? How are you determining market rents?
Everything is, it's even scraping data from Zillow, you can get like a good range of price per square footage. And of course, compare it with the size of the home, the numbers of bedrooms and bathrooms. So these things are very easy. At the end of the day, I'm not a programmer, but it's pretty easy to program. My friend here, he's in tech, but he loves real estate. So he has this side hustle here in Austin, and he helps investors from Israel. So he just got his real estate license, and as you know, the Austin market is crazy red hot. But he was able to close for his investors 30 deals within 3 months, just by building, which is like unheard of. And none of them went like overpaid. Like the numbers had to make sense in terms of the investment number. These deals probably won't cash flow like crazy, but they will appreciate. And he was able he said that it was like a pretty dumb algorithm. So it's not that you can just click and everything gets sent. So we need to run the number just to verify the numbers, but he was able to send like 30 offers at 1 week or 1 day, 1 weekend. And he closed, like all of a sudden his W-2 turned into the side hustle within 3 months. So there is another firm, so they are fun. Their name is SFR3. They're just buying. They're a bunch of techies from the Bay Area that basically developed, I think, pretty much the same thing what I'm thinking about. And they're buying single-family residents in bulks, like in hundreds, and they're rehabbing them. Their mission is to house the middle class, the USA, the American middle class, and provide them with solid and honorable houses. So I think there is a huge upside there.
So how could you leverage that into every 10 unit, 5 to 10 unit that's on the market anywhere in the triangle? How could you leverage that idea?
So here's the thing: as you grow to more commercial sized properties, it seems like there is more art to that. That these markets tend to be, you need to base a lot of your assumptions on like, I would say the human aspect of stuff. And you need to have those hard numbers, those incomes, whereas SFRs is more based on comparables, on comps.
I'm going to argue that that's BS.
Really?
Yes.
I would love to hear more about that.
The ultimate factor in any deal has nothing to do with the income and expense. It's all about market rents. And you're deploying what these guys are doing absolutely supports that idea. That it's all about rents. We're taking really two things. We're analyzing what market rents are in this neighborhood. We're breaking it down to a per square foot price. And then we're basically making offers based on that we know our offer is low enough that if we get it accepted, we're in high cotton. We're like pigs in slop. We're in good shape. Okay. So it doesn't matter what the asset is. It doesn't matter if it's a bungalow. It doesn't matter if it's, because a lot of things are kind of they self-evaluate. In other words, you don't need to worry if it's an A class or a B class because the neighborhood doesn't have A and B class. A neighborhood is what it is. It's a B class neighborhood. Okay, so you don't need to worry about those factors. It's self-selected. And the rents will determine that, or they will reflect that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I would argue with you, especially on that 5 to 10 unit size, that you absolutely could try, especially if you did it. I would experiment with it. I would take that list that we were talking about earlier in San Antonio, and I would do only a block at a time, you know, or a 1 mile radius.
Mm-hmm.
And I would make those offers, because you're not a machine. You can't do, you can't underwrite 30 deals a day, but you could know the market rents in all of these submarkets. Just pick one. Okay. If you've already done this for a submarket where you've walked most of the comps, you know in your heart exactly what the rents are in that neighborhood. Break that down into a square footage rent, okay? And then every apartment building in that 1 mile radius, that's especially the small ones, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I would really target the small ones. And you don't need to underwrite the whole deal, okay? Just figure out what that price is per square foot. Give yourself a fudge factor so that you know you want to buy it, and send the offer out. You could send 10 or 15 offers out in a day, because you're not needing to go through the entire underwriting process.
Yeah. So I'll definitely think about that. I think it's a good way to go about that. Maybe, you know, what I'm thinking about with the 5 to actually everything that is duplex and above, that you really need to know the submarket, you know, because there are some.
Yeah, the rents in that submarket are absolutely the most important thing.
Yeah, and you have to know that this area has a bunch of duplexes and this area has like 10plexes, because usually they're not in the same neighborhood. I mean, you will see some single SFRs with duplex and triplex, or maybe a 4plex, but you usually won't see like a mixture of single families and 10plexes in one pocket, right? So this is where, you know, it's hard to differentiate. And actually I'm trying to like train myself and train maybe the future algorithm how to determine that this is actually a 10plex, a 5plex, and then the price per square footage usually drops. And, you know, there are a lot of adjustments, but it's definitely something. Whereas single family, it's, even if it's not a cookie cutter, you have the same factors that work in every single submarket where it comes to SFRs. You know, you have the comps, you have the rent per square footage. You can see like the neighborhood, if you have schools and stuff like that. But with those 5 to 10, I think that's a really good market to shoot for eventually. But for the proof of concept, maybe start with smaller stuff just to make sure, just to see if there is actually an opportunity there.
So I already, I know that Blackstone is already deploying this strategy and buying up thousands and thousands of single family homes. And I think that you can use the same strategy. I don't see a difference between, because a house is going to be a much larger footprint. You're going to buy more square foot. So an apartment is, if you're using that number, that price per square foot number from your single family research, if you buy an apartment at that price, you're going to be in good shape, because per square foot, apartments rent for a much higher price. You know, the larger the footprint, the lower the price per square foot. So if you're offering that lower price per square foot, if you're just kind of assigning a constant to price per square foot based upon houses, then that's already a good buy in an apartment complex.
Yeah, you know.
And so for me, it would be an easy way for you to bypass a lot of the, and you know, those small assets, you're not going to get good financials anyway.
Right.
So how much time are you wasting going back and forth with a broker trying to get good financials? And then how much time are you wasting trying to underwrite, trying to figure out if it's right or wrong.
So this is where, this is where I bring the tool, the algorithm. So I'm underwriting to protect the downside. And the thing is, when you buy in bulk, you rehab some of them with the intention to flip in mind.
Yeah.
You some of them you want to rent, and then maybe you refi and then rent it out. And in a way, you're starting to, I wouldn't say control the prices, but if you buy like within the same sub-market, like a few deals, I think you can actually, basically determine your exit point, and you need to have a substantial footprint within a certain sub-market. But you can basically, I would say that just like 5 or 6 out of 10, these are not the keepers. I mean, you will buy either wholesale, rent, and then rehab, and then sell them wholesale, whatever. And like the 20 to 30% will be the one with kind of like the hidden gem that we can add a room, maybe extend, maybe add a floor, stuff like that, that will actually make this strategy worthwhile. So it's not in the bulk, these will just, I think, will just pay for the bills. Yeah.
The list that David put out, do you know how many homes were in the San Antonio list?
No.
Do you know where it is on the drive?
Yeah.
Could you look for it on the drive real quick, and I will too, whichever one of us gets there first.
Yeah, it should be under the folder's name is contact list, and then it's a list by it's
by
multifamily by MSA, multifamily owners by contacts by MSA. Yeah.
Okay. I see Texas, San Antonio. Okay.
So it starts at 2. It's like 2 to 10. You'll see at the end of the.
Okay. So that's the unit size.
Yeah. The
okay.
Unit count. Yeah.
So that list has. Whoops.
There's 473.
473. Okay. All right. So that's 400.
But these are 2 to 10 units. You don't have to see
right, 2 to 10. So let's sort it by, where's my scroller? By unit size.
Mm-hmm. Do you want me to share my screen? I can, we can do it together.
Okay, sounds good.
So just 1 second. Screen share.
There you go.
Okay. Can you see my screen here?
Not yet. Now I do. So sort it by unit size and just see how many 10 units there are.
By unit size.
All right. Yeah.
The largest is, and what are you looking for?
How many 10 units are there?
There are 27.
Okay. I want you to make 27 LOIs. I want you to send out 27 LOIs direct to owner.
Yeah, that might be a good, tactic.
So
the thing is, you need to run the numbers on those. So
nope, you do not. I don't want you running numbers on them. I want you to plot them. Yeah. I want you to plot them on a map. What is that income? There's a map out there that you can plot by income.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably a few of them.
Yeah.
And I would put these.
Justice map, you have a few of them.
Yeah, I would put these 10 on that map. And I would start with the ones in the highest income neighborhood. And I would send that one first.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Or that would be one way to do it. Another way to do it would be, of those 10 units, start with the ones that the owner has owned it for the longest period of time and start with them first. Send it out to the disregard anything that's been purchased in the last 3 years or 2 years. Anything in the last 2 years, I'd just throw it out. I wouldn't even put an offer in.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's been held for more than 3 years or longer, you can start with the highest income neighborhood. You could start with the one that's been owned the longest. You could start with what other potential?
You're looking at how much equity they have, and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I don't even care about the equity. They could have zero equity and you could just assume the loan.
That's right. Pretty creative.
A lot of these guys are smart enough not to let their equity sit there, in the property.
Yeah, they're
pull it out,
mm-hmm.
especially at these low interest rates.
Yeah. Okay, so let me we can export that, just to a map real quick. Let me just save it somewhere. Let's browse.
And then before you make the offer, the only thing you need to know is what the rents are. And so if you've got 27 of those, I would find the clusters that are closest together on the map, because those will be the easiest ones for you to get the market rents the fastest. Because once you figure out the market rents, it applies to like 5 of them.
Yeah.
And you don't need to go out and refigure, every single one. So if you start with the clusters first, figure out the market rents and make the offer based on the market rents. And you can have 1 or 2 strategies. You can make your first offer a low ball if you want, all cash offer. Make them an all cash offer at 70% of what you think the value is, or even 60% of what you think the value is. And then go get a hard money loan for it.
Yeah, that's a cool strategy. So these are, I think these are all.
How did you do that? I would have done one by one by one. That would have taken me 3 or 4 days to map all those out.
Yeah. So there is a cool trick. Actually, I need to actually record that and put it on the GOB network. There is a cool trick through. It's not the regular Google Maps. It's called My Google Map. Yeah. And basically, you can import,
from a spreadsheet.
Yeah, from a spreadsheet, and each pin, once you click on that, you basically determine what you want to be on the title. I just chose the unit count, but you can put like the property address, the property names, and yeah, that's a super quick tool.
So now, can you also overlay income data over this map?
Yeah, but this I'm gonna have to learn how to do that. So you can definitely do that, but I'm gonna have to have the coordinates and stuff like that. But because those areas, the income, you have a few blocks. Right? If you go to city data or justice map or rich blocks, poor blocks, but I don't know how to export this information. But it's definitely something.
Well, what we do know though is that in San Antonio, that northwestern corner is more. That's a more of the high income area part of town.
Yeah, right? Here, that's the busiest, richest area, I think.
How about further to the west? Those 3 that are out there by themselves?
So the path of progress here, let me show you Crane Watch San Antonio. Path of progress in San Antonio, as you can see. So this is kind of a dynamic map that Business Journal came up with a bunch of, everything that is going on in the San Antonio market. Also pinned. So whenever you click on something, it will say what kind of project it is, what's the cost, what's the status of that. And you can filter by, let's say you only want to see the multifamily stuff. So you can actually filter and see only the new multifamily. Some will be just proposed, as you can see here. Some, I don't want to get the inside. Some will be a lot of proposed, some will be under construction, some will be already completed. But the main.
So out there where those three were, what is all of that stuff going on out there? So
in San Antonio, generally speaking, the path of progress, so you have I-35 here and you have I-10 over here.
Yeah.
This is the path of progress. As you can see here, nothing is really going on down south, not at this point.
Yeah.
The majority starts from downtown and it spreads, you know, this kind of like a funnel. I'm calling it like the I-35-10 funnel. But these are where everything is going on. So here is like where the three properties.
Right at the corner of 410 and
exactly.
10.
Here.
Yeah, they're right there.
There's the University of Texas here, which is, you know,
and what are those other dots, the blue dots? What projects are those?
These are usually big projects, so 328, 370. So some of them will be, so this is one is under construction, but you see that the estimated completion was December 2020.
Okay.
But it's probably still under contract.
So that's an apartment building. What are the other ones?
So I filtered it only to show those multifamily, but I can unfilter it.
So okay.
You can see. So each pin represents different asset class or different project. So as you can see, here is more healthcare stuff.
Okay. So you filtered just for new apartment complexes.
So that's not mine. It's not mine. It's the Crane Watch, and this is what they're tracking. They're tracking like path of progress and where are the new projects.
Right, but I'm saying when you filtered it just to the blue dots, that was just new apartments.
That's right. That's right.
So that tells me there's a lot of A-class stuff going on over there. There's a lot of attention being brought to that neighborhood.
Right.
So those 10 units are going to probably be worth a lot of money, but the owner may or may not realize that yet. You know, typically a 10 unit is not a very sophisticated owner.
Yeah, that's right.
I would definitely put offers. I'd put low ball.
Are you looking for 10 units? Are you truly, you know, you're open to buy a 10-plex? Is that like, well, I'm thinking about, you know, I just want to go as big as possible, as many doors, as little roofs as possible.
Well, there's two schools of thought, Izzy. It takes you just as much time to buy a 10 as it does 100.
Right.
But it's 10 times harder to raise the capital for 100.
Okay. Yeah.
It's true. 10 when you make a mistake because you're new. It's that mistake is 10 times greater because it's 100.
Right.
So, and there's a lot more competition. The competition is 10 times more.
Right.
So everything about the 100 to me, the only efficiency is it takes you the same amount of time. Other than that, everything else about it is harder in my mind. Now, the property management piece yes, there's a lot of efficiencies there. But with technology now, property management is not, property management on a 10 unit is going to be just as easy as it is on a 100 unit very, very soon because of technology. Yeah. Just think about if you've got a smart lock and a smart doorbell with a camera and a smart thermostat on every unit, that you can give somebody a one-time code to let themselves in. You never have to go there. And then when they're there, you know, you can have a camera inside watching them. And once it's rented, you take those cameras out. You never need to physically be there to tour the property, to show them the property. They get the freedom of showing themselves. And a lot of people I'm telling you, that is the wave of the future.
Yeah.
You know, but here's the drawback. If the lowball offer, if you can't get it done with hard money, if you have to come up now to getting a bank loan, if it's under that non-recourse dollar amount, now do you personally have the debt to income ratio to cover that loan? Because if you don't, that's going to be the limiting factor.
Right.
So you either have to have partners that are willing to personally sign, which I'm not, or you concentrate on a big enough size to make sure that it's in that non-recourse. So maybe a 10 unit won't work. Maybe it has to be a 20. I don't know, 10 units.
And yeah, this is why I'm going on bulk. I want to buy few at a time, because buying one property at a time, it's not, and it's not scalable. And this is actually what I was trying to stay or run away from, buy like a single or like a duplex, triplex, fourplex, either a templex at a time. So that's where the algorithm comes to play. So, you can run the numbers quick. You can put like multiple offers on some off-market properties eventually.
Yeah. And the problem, again, is financing. If you've got connections to private equity that will fund all of this, then it's a no-brainer.
So I would start a fund for it, definitely, and have the capital raising side on one end. It's not something that I want to, work with my banker on, because I definitely don't have the liquidity, neither the net worth. But definitely start a fund, raise some capital.
But Izzy, the most important piece to becoming successful in this is you have to get a deal, and sooner rather than later.
Right, I agree.
All these strategies and big ideas don't mean shit if it's a year away.
I agree.
If it's a year away, you can still execute that plan, but in the meantime, get something under contract.
Yeah, I agree.
That's you've got to get the boulder rolling. Once the boulder's rolling, you everything else will become easier. But you got to get it rolling. But if you could buy those with a hard money contract, or if it's big enough that your initial offer is rejected, if it's still big enough to qualify with your second offer, being a regular conventional loan to meet a non-recourse, if it comes in at 1.3, then you're still a go. Make that your second offer.
Yeah. Okay. I'll
It's something.
all those. Yeah. Absolutely.
I just want to figure out a way to get you something sooner rather than later. Yeah. And this takes away all of that competition. You're not bidding against anyone else. Because I guarantee you 90% of this stuff that you've got on that map is not for sale. It's not, listed. So you're not having to bid against anybody. You can make whatever offer you want to make directly to the seller. And if you don't like that strategy, just, come up with a different strategy, but
No, I love the strategy. The thing is, the entire point is how to scale it. But I agree. First,
don't worry about
a proof of concept.
Yeah, don't worry about the scale yet. Just get something under contract, then figure out if it's scalable. If it's not scalable, who cares? Maybe this doesn't work and you need to go to the 100 unit size almost immediately. But in the meantime, in that first year, you've bought 2 or 3 properties. And now if you don't want to keep them, sell them off and put the money into the next bigger deal. But
That's right.
Just got to get started, got to get going. So, all right, man.
Yeah, so thank you so much for your time. I was planning on an hour, and but it was super fun. Learned a lot as usual, and I really hope that we'll join forces on Sal's deal. Sounds like an exciting one.
I really think that if you put together, you've got a lot of different strategies just off today's calls that you could potentially implement. You want to put together your pitch deck, credibility package. I think that the way I outlined it will help you a lot. And concentrate on those new guys that you both need to help each other. But I also think this is a very viable option also. And it doesn't mean you can't do both of them simultaneously.
No, you're absolutely right. One quick question before we move on. You said that you have kind of like the blurb on you somewhere in the GOB network. If we want to use that.
If you just type in bio, it's actually in a lot of different places on the platform. It's in the First Start Here folder. It's all over the place. So.
Got it. Okay, so I'll just look for bio. Sounds good. Perfect.
Yeah, just type it in the search box.
Yeah, no problem. I'm on it. Awesome, Jim. Thank you so much for your time.
You see where it said, yeah, you've got it under contact info. It's there also. You can click on it there and find it, a direct link to it. Perfect.
That's great. Yeah, I'll definitely use that and add you to my
brief bio.
Exactly. That's good. That's some good stuff. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Talk to you later, Izzy.
All right. Bye. Take care. Bye-bye.